What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Kick On Rugby channel. You can see it's a little bit of a change. Change the name up a bit. Still the same passion for rugby. Like I said, I love my rugby. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong, but the passion stays the same. And welcome back to the Kick On Rugby channel. I'm your host, Dane. Share it. And after the Rugby World Cup, thinking of a few things to do. We'll definitely have a few players on or some coaches on, maybe even some conditioning coaches. But I also thought I'd do this week in rugby and just kind of cover what's been happening in the rugby world, because since the World Cup, I feel like drama is a thing in the rugby world now. So we're just going to try and stay on top of it all, man. So let's get into it. Something I've been absolutely loving is the Springboks celebrations after the World Cup. Boys are just getting after it, just loving it. No one has a voice anymore, singing nonstop. Damien Phillips still has his kit on almost a week after the World Cup. How good, man. Just enjoying it. Rugby has been crying out for personalities. And man, seeing these boys just be themselves has been also just a breath of fresh air. Just go out there. No one is being an idiot. No one is doing anything someone else wouldn't do. Guys are just really enjoying themselves, celebrating what has been a tough, grueling 4 years, really, building up to this. Comes down to that last game, win back-to-back World Cups. And boys are deservedly enjoying themselves. Trevor Nyakane dancing everywhere. Sia Kulisi flicking water at Andre Pollard trying to answer questions in front of everyone. Everyone's wearing glasses. They've all been on the beers for 4 or 5 days. Cheslin Colby still got all his strapping on, gave his winner's medal to a little South African fan. Like, boys are just, I hope he gets another medal back, because I wouldn't be giving away medals. And Cheslin, it's been done already. Sonny Bill did it already, mate. Get your medal back. But it's been great. I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of questions around, is Damien Willems, has he been showering? I'm pretty sure he's been showering, guys. Showering in beers. No, I think he's maybe been showering and then putting his gears back on. Otherwise, he'd stink the whole place out. Anyone would stink the whole place out. 5 days after you've played full, almost an 80 minutes World Cup final, anyone would be stinking, man. But good on him. More power to him. Boys are just enjoying themselves and being themselves. How good. More power to it. I hope they go on for another 2 weeks. They deserve it. It's honestly, like I said, it's been a breath of fresh air and great to see. Long live the back-to-back World Cup rugby celebrations. Go the BOKS. Eddie Jones resigns from Wallabies head coach. What an absolute shambles. I know, obviously, Rugby Australia were going into this with a lot of hope and desire. Same with Eddie Jones. Pretty sure they were both on the same page. They said they both were on the same page. They had the same goals in mind, the same 5-year goals, because it was a 5-year contract. And right from the jump, I feel like it's been an absolute circus. Heading into the World Cup, I mean, Eddie not picking some of the people that was like a massive just green light, pick these guys. I guess going in with the fact that he wants to build for the future. But in doing that, kind of setting, I think, Australian rugby back. So it's kind of live by the sword, die by the sword thing. He's then come out in the presser that he's done for, because he's part of the coaching staff with the Barbarians. And he's kind of doubled down on the fact that he wanted to go a certain direction, and Rugby AU is going a different direction. What gets me from that is that only a couple of months ago they were on the same page. Like, how in a few months has things drastically changed? In saying that, things have drastically changed for the Wallabies and Rugby AU in that sense. Like, yes, they've got the Super Rugby teams. You've got the Sevens teams, and you've got the Wallaroos, of course. But the Wallabies, that's your main team. Like, you want your Wallabies, they're your badge, they're your number one team. You want them to be doing well. And they did not do well this World Cup at all. So it wasn't a shock that he's come out and resigned. Yes, there was talks of Japan, and he's still denied that. But he's come out in the presser on Rugby Pass, I saw on the YouTube, and just doubling down on that. Like, he wanted to go a certain way. Rugby AU needs to change a lot of things. For the past 20 years, it's been going downhill. I did not finish that whole YouTube clip, but man, I'm looking forward. The coach that comes in, he's either got an easier or a better job, an easier or a hard job. Easier in the sense of this standard is pretty low, even though Eddie Jones has got a massive CV, he really didn't do well. Or the new coach that comes in, it's really tough for him because he then has to drag them out of the mud, so to say. So we'll see. I don't know no one has been linked to the job yet. I don't think the Wallabies play. I think their next game's on for a while. But you want to have something set in stone for early, because the British and Irish Lions come in 2025. So you want to be building, you want to kind of have consistency around that squad. And your coach being number one there. So he kind of makes big decisions. Head coaches make big decisions. Shock. So we'll see. We'll try and keep on top of that. But regardless, he's in the news again because he's part of the Barbarians squad, and smart of the Barbarians, I reckon, to bring him in. So Barbarians are playing Wales in Cardiff on the weekend. Both sides are absolutely stacked. I love how Eddie Jones, and I'm not sure the selection criteria in the Barbarians setup, but Michael Hooper's there. I love how he's not playing. He wasn't picked or selected to play for the Wallabies, but he is in the Barbarians, and Eddie Jones is was coach for both. Like, what's doing? So I'm gonna go, and I'll pull up the team next to me here, or in front of me, or instead of me. So this Barbarians team is pretty stacked. Pretty stacked. I mean, Taniela Tupou in the front row, Tavita Ikanavera, I hope I've said that right, Fijian, and Joe Moody. And that is a stacked all-international front row. Rob Leota, Alan Wynne-Jones, the captain. He'd be leading them off the field as well. Played over 100 games for Wales. Currently playing for Toulon. So he'd be loving that experience. From what all I've heard, Barbarians camp is just great. It's old school. Why you played rugby. Rugby's rugby because of the off-field stuff. And they're getting stuck into beers, sing song, have a good time. Listen to this loose trio: Justin Tuperick, Michael Hooper, and Rob Valentini. Ooh, Hoops back on the field, man. That's where he does his best work. Yes, he was great on the as a pundit for Stan Sport for the World Cup, but he does his best work on the field, man. It's going to be good to see him back there. Kruvoli, a standout for Fiji at 9. Nicolas Sanchez at 10. This backline, man. Oof. Then you got Celestino Ravotumanda on the wing, Isaiah Parisi, Len Ikitau, Sean Stevenson, and Ilasia Drosesi at fullback. When BaaBaas are talking about BaaBaas style of rugby, you pick you pick a team like this. That back three of Stevenson, Trosessi, and Ravutamanda, we could see a couple of scary, sexy tries, man. Those guys are just going to be giving the ball and like, let's just play. Let's play. Let's play. Oh, man, this is going to be good. It's at a shocking time. It's at like 1 o'clock on Sunday morning. But swiftly moving on to the Welsh side. And I'll just pick some of the standouts there. And they've also gone for a strong side. You've got Jack Morgan, captain, standout in the World Cup, leading that pack forward. And you've got, and I'm eager to see Costello get some more game time at 10. Loving him in the pre-match game, in the pre-warm-up World Cup games. And I think he'll be there for a long time, swapping out with Anscombe. Anscombe is also getting on the older side, but Costello is definitely someone they can look to kind of run the show there for Wales. George North in the centres. And then Lee Halfpenny at fullback. I thought he retired from international rugby, but there to obviously kick a couple of goals. I know Costello kicks really well to goal as well. Lee Halfpenny also in the week linked to Crusaders. That's cool. I love when Northern Hemisphere players come over to the Super Rugby just to see how they play. You can always see who the absolute standout rugby players is when they can do really well in both competitions, in Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. So that'll be interesting if that does come through. And then the other game for this weekend is Reds versus the Wild Knights. So Queensland Reds and the Wild Knights. A lot of debutants for the Reds, but Jeffrey Tomonga Allen stands out for me. He's played for the All Blacks, played for the Hurricanes, went over and played for Wasps, and he's back at the Reds. So it's good to see him back in the Super setup as well. And then obviously our big man Harry Wilson at 8. We'll be looking for him to come off the back fence to run riot again. And then I think it'll be a big season for Josh Fluke and Jock Campbell. Jock Campbell's already played for Australia, but Josh Fluke has recently been called, or before the World Cup, called into the squad. I'm not 100% sure if he did play, but I'm pretty sure he hasn't, but just he has been called into the squad. So they'll be looking for those guys to have a massive Super Rugby season, then to push for higher honours. And then jumping over to the Wild Knights team, it's always cool to see what players have signed with these Japanese teams. Not many international players. Yeah, I think most of them have just come off the World Cup. We can look at guys like Ben Gunter, who's been there for a while. Also played with the Sunwolves in the Super, so we'll kind of know some of the Queensland boys. Vince Arsaw also played, I think, recently at Wasps, I'm pretty sure, but also a Hurricanes man. He'd love to run it straight at his old mate, Jeffrey Tomonga Allen, I'm guessing. But I think this will also be a big free-flowing game. I did see Robbie Deans, who is the coach, said in the week that he's expecting it to be free-flowing. The last time they met when they played in a warm-up game like this, too, the score was like 40-30 or something, or 60-30. So we can see that kind of style of open, running around play. Super Rugby squads get announced next week. I am so glad that they're doing this. All of the squads just boom at different times, but on the same day. Let's go, baby. Give us content creators a bit of time to, talk about it, play with it. Who's coming in, who's not? Are they going to release the full squads, or is it going to be a couple of question marks? Is it going to be a couple of new signings? I know the Waratahs are just releasing every day, almost kind of new signings. None that's really like wowed everyone, but obviously Swahili that's going to be jumping over. I'm pretty sure it's next year that starts with the Waratahs, so that's massive. It's going to be so cool covering all the games. I'm definitely going to be covering Super Rugby games, guys. Let me know if anything. Obviously, Six Nations for sure, but super keen for the Super Rugby to start up again so we can start covering that, man, and getting into it. If there's any players you think would be cool to jump on the show, comment them down the bottom. Definitely reaching out to a couple of players in the Super Rugby in the URC as well, and internationally, man. It's cool to you want to speak to all kinds of rugby players, obviously, but in all different leagues as well, competitions. So that was it for now. I think I'm pretty sure I missed a couple of news or headlines. Wayne Barnes also retired after 111 tests. Wow. Copped a lot of scrutiny after the final. I thought he refed it really well. I think the TMO stuck his hand out a bit too far sometimes, but I think Wayne Barnes refed it really well. And I think that was it, guys. Let me know. Whatever. Let me know. Tell me in the comments what you think. And if you're wondering, I'm wearing the Springbok jersey because Springboks won again, man. So unless someone's going to send me another different jersey, I'll probably change it up in the Super Rugby. I might pick whoever won last year and then just wear their jersey. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.